Do you look like this when you try to ride a wall? Well, gosh dilly darn, it's your lucky day. Today, I'm going to be showing you my techniques on how to do wall rides, not only on bank tracks, but also on flat tracks. And before we get started, make sure to send this to someone who also struggles to ride the banks. And when you're in tandem, they always slam into the wall. Now, let's get started. Alright, we are here at Wall Speedway. So the point of this portion of the video is to show you how to wall ride on a bank. Now, I understand there's not a ton of bank tracks in the Assetto Corsa. I just feel like wall is the best example of it. So if we go off of just launching the car, we need to figure out first our initiation point. So thankfully there are some cones on the left side of the track to show us where to initiate. I usually like to initiate pretty early, so I'll initiate in between the third and second cone, if not the latest the second cone. And especially at this track, you want to initiate pretty high up on the bank, not super high riding the guardrail, because once you pull the e-brake and you begin to initiate, your car will slide up. You want to be probably about 4 feet off of the cones, and that will allow your car to naturally just slide up onto the wall. And then you want to light off the tires as soon as possible. So you want to pull the e-brake, initiate, and as soon as you're at angle going the direction you want to go, you want to light off the tires, and then you want to go all the way around the bank. Now this bank, if you could see, it's not entirely even, right? So left foot braking is going to be your best friend just to keep the car stable, keep it relatively around the wall. And the point of this wall is to be close but not riding inside of it, just because, you know, it's not smooth. And if we're inside the wall the entire time, one, you can do that, but quite risky, and you can, you know. But what we want to be doing is making sure we're about 3 inches maximum off the wall. Anything closer is bonus points. Anything farther you don't want to do. So let me show you guys how to initiate real quick. That right there was pretty good. I was up high on the wall. I was a little too high at the end, but we'll just do it one more time. Okay, alright, nope, shouldn't have done it. Okay, alright. But now you guys effectively know how to initiate onto a bank corner. Really important things is understanding where to initiate at. So finding your initiation point and then getting on throttle as soon as possible after you initiate. Another little bonus tip is don't try to initiate going in a straight line. Try to have a nice little flick coming in. As you can see, I am pretty much doing rolling burnout up into the start line. And that's just to make sure the car is loose, it's not super stiff coming into the initiation point. And it makes the initiation point a little bit easier than if you were to, you know, go in a straight line. Now that we know how to ride a wall on a bank, let's learn how to ride a long wall on a track and then a short wall as well. Now we have magically teleported to the land of Ireland at Mondello Park. So what we're going to learn here is how to wall ride on a long wall on a flat track and then a short wall or a partial wall. Both of them taking a little bit of a different approach to each of them. First, the long wall, it being corner 3 of Mondello, and then the partial wall being after the last corner of the VDC section. There's this little partial wall, which is really tricky because it doesn't really flow with the corner. It's just super flat, and you have to understand how to get to it without slamming into that wall. So let's first talk about the long wall. So let's start all the way back at this outer zone before the first long wall. So once you get through this zone and you transition into this outer zone, you want to pour on a little more angle and begin to slow down. Not really left foot braking, but more having some throttle input, a little less of it just to slow the car down. And you want to transition pretty early. Your transition point should be pretty far track right and relatively early. You want to be set up for the wall where once you get into this zone, you don't want to transition too late and then you're on the wall, say at this 5th cinder block. You want to be on the wall right when the zone hits, so you want to transition pretty early. And then once you're there, it's pretty easy to stay in the pocket of the wall. Just make sure you're not left foot braking too hard or you're not doing anything weird so your car doesn't pull backwards. But from there, you want to just push the car outwards towards that rumble strip. And if you could hear the rumble strips in your tires, then you're in a good spot. And then coming into this last outer zone, you want to transition full angle, right? Coming into this last inner clip. And then coming out into here, you want to begin to pull out a little bit of angle, not a ton of angle, but a little bit of angle. Because if you're still full angle and you're coming around, you're gonna A, hit the wall, and then B, you're gonna shortcut the zone and you're gonna end out right there. So let's give a little demonstration of what to do. As you can see, here's outer zone 1, here's outer zone 2. I'm gonna feather the throttle a little bit, transition really early and get right onto the wall. As you can see, I got on a little bit late, but I was able to maintain it throughout. Transition here, the last inner clip. Pull out a little bit of angle just to be sure I'm not hitting that wall. And as you can see, I'm not full throttle throughout the entire zone, and that is something that I talked about in the last video, where I'm not full throttle the entire zone. I'm only feathering it just to be sure the car isn't washing out wide and doesn't have, too much wheel speed where it doesn't have any forward bite. You want to just feather the throttle a little bit, make sure it has a lot of grip. And as you can see by my tire marks, I'm pretty well into that outer zone. Let's take a look at the long wall ride. As you can see here in that final bit of the outside zone, I'm in the rumble strips, and then here I'm pretty much on that white line. I could be a little bit deeper most of the way, and then here, yeah, I transitioned a little bit late, so I'm not on the wall immediately. Let's do it one more time and hopefully it's a little bit better. So let's take a look back at that second run. As you can see, pretty much on that wall a good amount of the way out. I would say I did come off the wall a little bit early. As you can see, the second tire marks that are a little more shallow, that was the most recent run. So that on my part, I carried a little bit too much angle into this inner clip, and then coming out of it I had still too much angle, so I did shortcut the zone a little bit. Now let's take a look at this wall ride. I was pretty much there the entire time. I was super deep, even clipping the wall a little bit, but for the most part I was really deep, and I did in fact initiate. As you can see, I initiated a little bit deeper. Still could be deeper than the first and second run, but nonetheless still a pretty good wall ride. And that does it for today's video. If you guys have any more wall ride tips, or if I left anything out, make sure to leave it down in the comments below. I'm always open to criticism and always open to helping more people out if you have any more tips. That being said, I hope today's video brought you some value. If it didn't, make sure to like and subscribe. And with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you guys next week for some more sim racing content.